Hello everybody, welcome to the Man Alone solo role-playing YouTube channel. Well, you've all been good, and so I figured why not a little treat. By far, the most requested solo play video requested is for the One Ring, Moria. So I am going to solo play this, but I do have to give a little bit of a disclaimer. The Moria solo play rules are really good, really cool, very innovative. They're also a lot. And I have been trying to figure all of them out for a couple days. And I came to the conclusion that there's no way I'm going to be able to remember everything. And so I will have to, I think especially combat, even though I tried it a couple times, it's its own combat system. It's different than the One Ring. It's honestly different than most combat systems I know. It feels like a bit like a miniatures combat in some ways. So I will have to sort of struggle through that a little bit, but I'm going to try my level best. And if I hit anything that I get a little confused or slowed down on, I'm just going to go to the book to check it out. I think that is the reason there are no solo plays of Moria on YouTube, is because it is a lot to track. And in fact, not only is it a lot to track within Moria, because the supplement has 36 pages of solo rules, it's also the fact that they are innovative rules that are quite different than what we might be used to. They're different than One Ring Strider mode. You can use Strider mode, but it's this seems more suited to like what Moria is and how the proper exploration of it goes. But in addition to the robust solo rules for Moria, you also have to know quite a bit about the One Ring and how things go in that. And so as I was trying to learn how to do this, I kept switching back and forth between these two books, which is a bit cumbersome. There have been attempts to combine this information. For instance, there's this extremely comprehensive player's guide that's available, I think, on the Free League forums. And just reading this kind of reminds me of when I had to read The Sound and the Fury in high school. I think I've mentioned this metaphor before, so forgive me. But there were these things called Cliff's Notes back before there were just summaries on the internet. And they were summaries of books. And the one for The Sound and the Fury by Faulkner was almost as difficult as a book on its own. And so this is the second edition cheat sheet. This does not even cover Moria, but it is so dense. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's really, really good, but even reading this is really overwhelming. And there's nothing really that I don't understand. It's just that there must be some upper limit to brain RAM I have. And playing a game over and over and over again will get me to the point where I'm able to sort of, rote memorization of these things. But given that I do play quite a few games on this channel, there's only a few games that I'm able to invest that level into. And so that's my disclaimer. I hope that it is an interesting video nonetheless. But please do not mistake this for me saying that I'm about to show you the definitive way to solo play. Think of it more like this is me trying my level best to solo play. I also am going to try not to make it too teaching, because there are very good videos teaching how to play Moria. But also for me specifically, if I start trying to teach everything, some of it's unavoidable. I'm just kind of explaining what I'm doing. But when I go into a video with the mindset that I'm teaching how to play it, the video ends up being an hour almost before I start solo playing, which, I mean, I like, and I think that's good. I think the solo play should be All of us should be doing the solo playing, right? But at the same time, I have already made 2 videos on this without actually playing it, and so I figured I would give it a try. All right. So first things first, I did create a player character, player hero, and a band. And that's how this goes in Moria. You're going to have a player character that is sort of the leader. Mine is Regan Stonefist. And Regan's a pre-generated character. And this is in anticipation for Pre-Gen Character Month, which is going to be a man-alone giveaway event coming in April. But just as a little bit of a preview, pre-generated characters, I think, are just as fun as creating a character yourself. And I want to challenge people to start using the pre-gens that are included because they help you to get going and get playing more quickly. And I think if you're a person that struggles to move from session 0 to session 1, they're a good thing. There's no shame in using a pre-gen. It doesn't mean you're not like fully playing. In fact, sometimes it's more interesting because you're sort of learning who the character is. So, excuse me, the difference between Moria in terms of this player character is going to be that I have 15 points to spend on increasing skills. So I'll have to figure out, instead of 10, which would be in the core game. And so I'll have to figure out what to spend these other 5 on. And then also the calling is going to be a shared calling between me, between my other members of my band and myself. So I can come back to that. But if you ever played Darkest Dungeon, that's pretty much the setup of this game. You'll have a cast of characters, and I put some stuff here just to remind me how they talk and their personalities and stuff. But basically, you create, they're not quite companions. They're not full player characters. There's something in between. And you start with 6 of them. And then when you figure out what your mission is going to be, which we have some ways of determining that, we'll choose who's going to go with us based on, their attributes, what they're good at. Is the mission a stealth mission? Is it a fighting mission, etc.? And then also as time goes on, we'll also have to determine, like based on their injuries and fatigue, like who is ready to go on that mission. Moria is a mega dungeon, kind of, but the difference is, if you see this little line down here, this represents 20 miles. So like normally in a mega dungeon, if you want to go from room 20 to room 24, you would go through 2 doors or whatever. Well, here you would have to go 11 miles. So that's a lot of marching in between that. And there's events for marching that pretty much makes it into like a form of overland travel, but underground. This is going to be the sheet that we mostly use for our band. All of the band's abilities and everything get abstracted into this single mission sheet. And this is something we create every time we're about to go on a delve. The goal of this first delve is to find mithril ingots. And using the book, I rolled up that I have a small band with medium burden, and it's comprised only of dwarves. And so I chose to bring Bari is battle tested. That will help. Moonin is graceful and quick moving. Eerie is a smith, which will be good for the ingots. Moen I held back because that's a beast whisperer, which is good, but not right now. Sindri I'm going to take with because of watchful. And then Yuri could be helpful later as a charmer, but we'll hold that back now. The beginning readiness rating is 4. And so 20 minus 4, our target number for readiness is 16. Readiness is sort of an abstracted like skill that captures a lot. Anything that you want to test that has to do with your band as a whole, you can test against the target number of readiness. And whatever disposition here, these are sort of the fill-ins for attributes, kind of, is that, or skills maybe, you can add this many dice to those rolls, as well as if their gifts apply to what the roll is doing, we could either do a favored roll or add 1 dice. I'll check that. And then the hunt threshold is usually 14 in Moria because it's a dark land, except after we've gone through a room and cleared it, it can go up to 16. And our eye awareness starts only at +1 because the only thing we have against that is that it's all dwarves, or that we have at least 1 dwarf. And so when the eye awareness hits the hunt threshold, there are specific revelation events for Moria. So yeah, we are... our mission is securing a storehouse of mithril ingots. Our shared calling is Pathfinders. And I actually have to make a little bit of an adjustment to this because this pre-generated character had a calling of... Regan had a calling of Champion, which gave some increased modifications to some things that we're actually not... We don't give that individual calling. We have a group calling of Pathfinders, which will give us some other advantages. But we shall see what those are. There are times where I will test Regan on his own, and there are other times when it will be something that is done as a group. I do know that my max hope is going to go up by 5 because we are using a shared pool of hope and shadow. All right. So what I'm going to have to do... No, that's another pre-gen. What I'm going to have to do, and I will figure out the best way to do this, is we'll figure out our entrance point and then establish our safe haven. We'll then plan our route. That's going to be the first thing we want to do. Is we want to use this map of Moria. And I actually have a kind of a throwaway map in the back here that we can use to measure. I think I do, unless maybe this is just a throwaway battle map. Is it both? Ah, darn. Well, I could print out something of the map. And yeah, so we'll figure out what the journey is going to be, and that will help us determine how many journey rolls we have to do, how many marches. There's going to be no rolls, ROLES, as there normally would be on journeys, and anything that comes up will test it to a skill, a specific skill, rather than to I think if you do the overland journey rolls in One Ring, you're going to test the guide, the hunter, the lookout, all those things. That doesn't exist here. Okay. Yeah, so it's a secure storehouse of iron ingots. Our patron is Balin, and so we get +1 fellowship, and we can spend a fellowship point to, I think, re-roll a die. I'll check all that as well and fill this in. But yeah, so this is our roster. Because we have a small band, it's not going to increase our eye awareness. Eye awareness is going to increase when we bring attention to ourselves, so small band. Having a medium burden, that's good, but I didn't want to go with a light burden, because even though that would have increased our maneuver more, it would have brought our war down to 0, which I don't think would have been good. So medium burden, small band increases our maneuver. Our expertise as a group is, well, actually, I think I said that wrong, but our disposition maybe is that we are experts. And because of that, we have an increase in something else. I forgot. We have an increase in whatever that first disposition is. There's you could be experts, you could be stalwart, hero, I don't know. We're not going to be using this because, or we'll maybe on a limited basis use this. This is this beautiful combat grid circle diagram for Moria, but doing this by the solo play rules, battle is going to be different. So when that happens, we'll figure it out. We'll do our best. Okay. So yeah, let me just set some things up and get started. Okay. Yeah. Just to see this shared calling here, we are Pathfinders, and that means that our group is looking to really figure out the map of Moria, see like what paths are still open and stuff. Because remember, this is her like happening during Balin's campaign to reclaim Moria, and we then choose a disposition focus, and so I did choose, I guess. Well, I guess it goes along the straight line here. So the disposition focus would be maneuver, and then this would give favored skills: athletics, explore, travel. That goes on my player character, and then the shadow path is the lure of secrets. Okay, and the disposition focus. This functions similarly to a distinctive feature. The band is inspired when testing the listed disposition, gaining 2 dice instead of 1 dice when spending a point of hope. So I guess that's when we maneuver, that's what will happen. So yeah, I rolled up all of these for the different names. I set the mission objective, set the hunt threshold, modifier. Okay. And then let's just take a look at the updates I'm going to make to Regan, my player character. Okay, just to clarify, so maneuver is the disposition focus. So we are inspired when we roll, which means when you you can spend a hope point for a roll to get 1 extra die, and when you're inspired, that 1 hope point spent equals 2 extra die. If you don't spend a hope point, it doesn't apply. And because we have a small band, our maneuver is +1. That's why that's at 3, and war is -1. Medium burden makes no change. And then, as I was talking about, like the I guess it's called the focus of the like group when we're setting the mission objective. The last thing you have to do is specialization. And so I basically looked at them and I was like, well, I looked at everyone's things here, the quirks or their gifts and their quirks and everything, and I said, yeah, I guess these are experts, right? Because they're looking, they're like maybe treasure hunters or maybe cartographers, and so that increased the expertise +1 as well. Whenever injuries or fatigue happen, I'm going to have to mark those off, and that's going to go into my decision whether or not to take those folks the next time around. In terms of Regan, the pre-gen characters, which are available on the Free League website, all of that stuff I'm using right now is available on their website under the One Ring listing. In a normal game, you get 10 points to spend. And to be clear, it's not a 1-for-1. If you're going from 0 to 1, it is 1 point. If you're going from 1 to 2, it's 2. If you're going from 2 to 3, it's 6. And it's even higher for combat proficiencies. And so, sort of reverse engineering it, what a dwarf starting skill set is, I can see that for this pre-gen character, they spent 2 to bring athletics from 1 to 2. They spent 2 to bring battle from 1 to 2. So that's 4. And then axes, they spent 6 to bring it from 2 to 3. And so now I have to determine where I want to spend these additional 5 points. And honestly, I'm thinking that I want to give myself 1 point in persuade. No, sorry, not persuade. Persuade is like one of the 2 I don't want to give it in. Stealth. Okay. Healing. Awareness. Insight. And hearten. Allow me to add 1 success die to those rolls. And then because we're pathfinders, I was able to choose 2 out of 3 favored skills, which I can roll 2 feat dice and choose the better one. And it gave me the option of athletics, travel, and explore. As a dwarf, I already have athletics, so I chose travel and explore as additional favored rolls. And yeah, so let's see here. Valor 1, Wisdom 1. I have a long-hafted axe. That's great. Now, again, mostly The only time I'm going to use Regan's stats for combat is maybe in an arch foe. You can choose to fight them one-on-one, but otherwise there's this different battle system that we're going to use. And you know what? I think I added 5 to my endurance accidentally. And yes, I did. And the 5 should be added to my hope when you're playing with the band to represent everyone's combined like hope. We add 5, and then that should be tracked on the journey sheet as well. So no, hope is not 34, hope is 15. So we could use that to re-roll spend rolls. We can also use gifts and stuff like that. Okay. So I think, although I've said this twice now, right? I think we're ready to go. The last thing is that I can roll, if there's something that has to do with like leadership specifically or about Regan specifically, I can roll his target numbers alone, but otherwise I'm going to use that readiness score. All right, last one, and then we'll do the stronghold. Just wanted to say that this virtue here, prowess, is the reason why the effective prowess is that you can subtract 1 from one target number. So this would be 20 minus 2 should be 18, but now we only have to match or beat 17, which is still a very hard roll. And our valor and wisdom are 1. Our treasure, because we're prosperous, starts at 90. And our cultural blessing is redoubtable. And that means that we can have rounded up the heaviness or the load of our equipment. That's why we only are at 6, 2, 4, 12, plus I think, yeah, the long hafted axe is 3. And so our load should be at 15, wherever that is oh, there it is. Recorded as 15. Okay. Now, let's talk about where we're going to start. Where's our safe haven? Where's the place that we're going to go back to? We can establish other safe havens, but this is the place at first until we clear out some area and make it a safe haven. We have to establish it. And since this is the first time we ventured into Moria, we don't have as many options of how we're going to get in. So it probably is going to be at Balin's encampment. Okay, how I wish we could use this map the whole time, but it is enormous, and I would love to get it framed. But so our first safe haven is going to be Balin's outpost here in 5, which from the side is right here. This is in Old Moria, and I guess like this wedge right here kind of separates inner and outer, although I think it's some sort of fissure. What is that? S. It is, well, I guess that signifies what? That it's the whole first hall? I'm not sure. But what we want to do, we know that our mission is to find this storehouse of mithril ingots. We could look through the locations and see which one is most appropriate for that. The other thing that we could do is we could like roll on these locations, which S is a bottomless cavern. That's not an S, that's an 8. So that's a bottomless a bottomless chasm. Okay, so we could do that, or we could roll on the different locations. Now there are like 29 different locations, 28 perhaps, and so a bit of an inelegant thing to roll on. However, I did make something of a table to roll on this for. Let's check that out. All right, so definitely not perfect. It's a D30 roll. And on top of that, like some of these locations would not be appropriate to go directly into. And also some of these locations we don't even really know about them, at least in universe, or there's different levels of knowledge that we have about them. Okay, so the map that I found, let's bring that up, a referee map here, differentiates the different areas here by famous, obscure, and hidden. And this is not just whoever came up with this map. First of all, thank you. It's excellent. But also, this is not something they came up with. Each location in the book is actually listed as like famous, obscure, or hidden, which has different implications for finding it or traveling. And so the hidden locations wouldn't necessarily to make sense to roll to them right away. And in fact, at the beginning of our quest here, we really only know for sure, know about for sure the famous locations. So the Endless Stair, wherever the cistern ends up. The King's Hall is really the central point. So what I'm getting at is that some of these locations, I put them from 21 to 30. So that technically I could use this weird D30 dice if I know and discovered all of them. But to start, we could use a D20 die. And I will say it won't work perfectly, right? Like we might roll on something that just makes no sense because it's all the way on the other side. It's extremely dangerous. We wouldn't find mithril ingots there. But I think it's just like a good lead to start with. And so let's just try it and see what it does here. So, okay, so 5 is the second hall endurance bridge. That's actually kind of a good, that's probably a good starting point here. So let's see here. Okay, so, oh my goodness, I keep clicking on the wrong thing. All right. So number 5. Well, that doesn't make Oh, well, this is numbered differently. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't this is only goes up to 28, so I had to adjust the numbers a little bit. So this would be the second hall. Let's see. Where is the second hall? I was hoping it would be. Oh yeah, okay. So the second hall is listed as number 7 here. And if we look on the map that I have printed here, which is less detailed, but because of that a little bit cleaner, we see that this is a pretty short journey, and this might be a good introductory journey. So we would be basically going from 5 to 7. Now that doesn't necessarily mean for sure that's where this stuff is, but it's somewhere around there. And so what we would do is I just printed this one out and divided it by 1-inch squares, and every inch is 5 miles. So if we look here, and we can also like use this as a reference here, this is going to be pretty low effort because we are going from 5 right there to 7. And so just to make it interesting, we will consider that to be 3 miles. And when we consider like our travel, our marching tests and stuff like that, that mileage is going to be important. And sometimes it's not going to be so easy, right? Like it's not always going to be a straight line. We'll have to go like over and down and left and up, whatever. This one is pretty, I think, good luck. Either it's good luck or it's not good luck. The only reason I think it could be not good luck is because it won't help us learn the journey system as well. But let's just give it a shot. And so I think we're at the first hall right now. We're at Balin's encampment. We should maybe like use the lore table to figure out a little bit more about what this is. Why are we looking for these mithril ingots? Especially because we are pathfinders. And so we're actually looking to like map things. So is this going to help? Has somebody said, hey, since you're already going somewhere else, can you stop here, find this thing? We shall find out. All right, so as you could see from the map, some of the map is going to have like these numbered rooms. But again, this is what makes Moria different, is that it's not like a mega dungeon. If I'm going from right in the middle here to the King's Road to the King's Hall, there's, almost 8 miles between that. And so we'll have to figure out what's between that. Now, these things are pretty close together, what we're looking for. And they both, like everything from the first hall to the second hall is named. But if you see here, if we were going to like King's Road to, or King's Hall here to um, the Tarlock's Hall, along the way is lots of little hallways as well as uh, other rooms, or at least other intersections, other spaces that if we were traveling, we would maybe encounter a room that we would want to generate. So the way that I'm going about this, and whether it's right or wrong, I don't know. Well, according to solo rules as written, but whenever my journey passes through named places, I'm going to read about them here. So for instance, this is the first hall, and we can see like what from this hall could provide narrative. Maybe there's an encounter here. And then we're headed to the second hall. So we're actually going to cross Durin's Bridge and go into the second hall. And the second hall is not completely safe. There's some things we can see here. Now, I'm intentionally not looking too far over here. But the thing to do would be to read a little bit of these. And because we're solo playing, yes, we're not going to be able to enjoy every little treat of like if the players mention this, etc. But what we can do instead is we as the lore master, the GM, can know that those things are available, and then we can roll like an oracle roll to see if our player characters, if our band figures that out, and they may not. So we can sort of switch into that lore master role and view them as, you know, creatures of chance in a way, because they still have all their stats and everything like that. So this is how we are going to go about doing the journey roll in solo play, or the marching test. And by the way, we're still going to like do the lore of the encampment and stuff. I just want to show which way we're going with this. Um, so we are going to make a marching test. And there's two pieces to this. Is we're going to make a travel roll using our travel skill for our player character, which again is probably our best skill. It's a rating of 3 and favored. So we're probably going to make it the 5.5. We'll call it 6 miles, because we'll do a maneuver roll using that disposition for the band. And then if it's a success, we get to add another dice to the travel roll. But if it fails, we remove one success die, and then we make the travel roll. And depending on the outcome of that travel roll, we resolve a journey event, which we will roll on the bottom of this page. And if we think about this like pulled out longer, say it was a 26-mile journey, we would keep doing these, and sometimes nothing would happen, and sometimes we would have to do an event, and this would kind of fill in the space along the way. But again, this is the first one. So once we know what the journey is going to be like, then we can fill in the lore and the background and everything like that. But also, when we're in the camp, that's when we might find out more about what exactly we need to do. And this is going to be important, because if we have any clashes, we're going to have to figure out like what the challenges or different not waypoints but objectives are, and set different resistance ratings for those. So interestingly, as I'm thinking about what kind of intel we're getting for this quest, I read this section on Mithril, and Mithril is definitely found deep in the mines. Like, it is not anywhere that is going to be like close to the surface. And so it does make sense that a store of mithril can be found somewhere, but it's unlikely that that would be like an unrecovered storage of it would be so close to the encampment in the first hall. So there's got to be some reason. And right now I'm kind of thinking that like maybe somebody was bringing it back and they got attacked and it got dropped, maybe like there was a group that was bringing it back, and they had to drop it and run, and now it's our job to like go and recover it. And right, we're pathfinders, and maybe Balin's like, look, I want to be able to prepare people for this. It's important that you are all helping to chart things out, but I really can't do anything with the information you bring unless we have the resources that are needed. So I'm going to use the lore table here, and I'm just going to see if maybe that can give me any information on like what happened, what the background is. And there are many ways to do this. We can generate an NPC and do it. We can do different things, but let's just take a look here. So the first thing is we can roll, feat die is 2, and then a success die of 6. So, I don't know, feat die 2, just kind of bring this, and 6, craft, okay, so that's our action. And now we have 3 and 2, dreadful, craft dreadful, 8, 4, story, that's what I'm trying to do. 1, 2, armament, craft dreadful story armament. Okay, story is, I think, that's actually tough. That's the toughest part for me. So, craft dreadful story armament. Okay, so it's clear that these mithril ingots were going to be used to craft something dreadful. Dreadful is usually bad, but it doesn't have to be. You know, like there are heroes that carry big dreadful axes. So what if I change story to storied? Craft dreadful storied armament. I'm trying to think of like something that could be created as like a tool of incursion. You know, if this were a sci-fi game, I would say like a turret or something like that. But well, yeah, maybe a turret. Like maybe they are trying to secure the encampment in the front hall, or they're trying to establish a new safe haven. This could be a way to clear out a place and like take back the room. And then also just thinking of like the architecture of the from the first to the second hall, if we had something that was able to just be like positioned right here, it would be hard for anyone to get across there. So yeah, maybe that's what they needed to complete this big awesome armament. Okay, I'm satisfied. So now again, we're going to want to do our marching test, and the marching test is going to be a travel roll, but it's going to be augmented first by the maneuver roll to see if we're going to gain or lose a die. So I'll look at the disposition that we have for maneuver. That's a very good one. It's 3. It's also favored, so we get to roll 2. Let's get these over here. So this is great. So we can roll 2 feat die, and we can roll with that. We could roll 3 like success die for pips, and we'll see if we're going to get a bonus to our travel roll. Look at this. All right, so 8 is better. And again, we're trying to beat our target number of 16, which I think we have well done here. 10, 12, 20. So we're going to get a +1 on our player character's travel roll, which is already really, really good. And so that will be favored. So we'll get 2 of these. And then we get 3 dice for the 3 pips of that. And we'll get an additional one because of that maneuver roll. And we're going to need to beat a 17. So that's actually good because that's a tough target number. So let's see how we do. All right, so 10 is definitely better. We did get one good success here. So we have 13, 19, 20 with an additional Elven rune. There's not much better we can do since this is such a short journey. But perhaps we can figure out a way once we get to the second hall that we would know like what happens. But if the travel roll is a success, what the book says is that the guide has struck a good path and the company advances 6 miles plus an additional 2 miles for every success icon, and then an event occurs. Okay, so we don't need the additional 2 miles. We're feeling spry, we're feeling motivated. And so now we're going to do the Moria journey events, which I believe is on page 37. Great. And so we are going to roll feat die. And yeah, let's just give it a shot here. You know, I guess what I could say, and I'm not sure if this is like too much of an advantage, so I hesitate a little bit, but maybe I can enjoy the benefits of that additional success here. And I can say, well, because we had, a really great travel experience, I can roll this as a favored roll and then take the one that is better. So I'll try that. All right, so we rolled a 10, and that is the right way. If the roll succeeds, reduce the length of the journey by 1 day, and we only gain 1 fatigue point. Now, if this was a 4, we would have gotten watchful eyes. If the roll fails, the target gains 1 shadow point of dread, and the lore master raises the eye awareness of the company by 1. And we certainly want to avoid both of those. And so journey events in Moria are determined as usual, rolling a success die on the event target table below to select a target player hero, and by rolling the feat die on the Moria journey events table. I need to read that again. You know what? I get it. So even before I did this, I should have boy, you can really tell this game was made by people who made board games. There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of dice rolling to me. So because this isn't the solo section, this is just the general section of the book. So we succeeded on the travel roll, and an event occurs. I see. So event resolution. Journey events in Moria are determined. So I guess maybe our event didn't have anything that would need to be like so so I guess we would go into this this marching test results a success. We get to the place after going 6 miles plus 2 because I had a success. We got to that place, then an event occurs. Okay. We calculate our fatigue, which we only added +1. We got there pretty fast. And then normally it says that for event resolution, rather than like, because we don't have different roles in this ROLES, so instead of like scouts, lookouts, or delvers, I would just roll my player characters like skills directly. I'm just pausing because there's an ambulance coming by. It's not for me. Okay, I got it. So here's what we do. We make the marching test, and even before that, we're going to roll that maneuver roll to see if we get plus or minus 1. We then roll the travel roll using the skills of our player character. And then once we get an event, that's either by like failing this roll or arriving at our destination, we get an event. We go to the event resolution table and figure out who is it or what is it that's going to be tested in the events down below. And so I would roll a success die here, and it'd be a 1. So we don't have scouts because we don't have like different roles. So it's an exploration thing. Now, I could and would, if I was not in need of moving this along here, I would create fiction about that using the lore table, right? Like, why is the explore skill being tested? What is it about that? I do also believe that in the solo rules, yes, in the solo rules we have the key to success here. So in the solo rules, we have to roll on the journey events table to determine the nature of the event. So I rolled 10, which was the right way. I would go to the event detail here, and then I would roll the a success die. Oops, sorry, I should do that. So 2, and that's unspoiled chambers, awareness or vigilance to walk unbroken roads. Okay, so I could use awareness if the fiction of that concerned my player character, or if it was like my band as a whole, I could use a vigilance test. Okay, and so let's look at that again. Awareness or vigilance to walk unbroken roads. Consequences of the skill roll. If the roll succeeds, do not gain fatigue and reduce the length of the journey by 1 day. Well, we don't, you know. So, unspoiled chambers. So I guess what that means to me is that they said, yes, we left it in this room to the right of the Great Hall. And we go in there and it's unspoiled. It's as we thought it would be. And so maybe on the way back, we'll have to journey again and see if anything else happens. But I'm thinking, like, they said before we ran, we managed to sneak it into like a room to the side here, up here. And so we picked it up. But first, we'll have to see if we succeed. And so I think this will be a vigilance test, right? Because, you know, we're all going to be like looking around for this storage case. So our vigilance is 2. We're trying to match or exceed that target number. And also, I'm just looking through my different characters to see if any of them have gifts. And battle tested, no. Quick moving, no. Smith, no. Sindri, watchful. So we have this gift here that in terms of vigilance, I'm thinking that this is exactly what that's going to do. So when we use a gift, using a gift, when an ally utilizes their gift to lead an action, it adds a bonus to the roll. Gifts can be used when the band acts together or when the gift's wielder acts independently. We can only use one gift at a time. It'll gain us 1 dice on the roll. The roll can only gain a bonus from a single gift. Here's the thing. If we roll an eye when using a gift on the feat die, that gift is wasted, and it no longer provides a bonus until we go back to a fellowship phase, and it's cleared when rested. All right? And so we will use the watchful gift here, and Sindri's like, I will find it. I know, I can smell it. I think that I know exactly where it is, Sindri says, right? And vigilance will be 2. And then because Sindri is adding to it, we'll add another. And we will also use the feat die for that. And we're trying to beat 16 here. Now, I could add a hope, and that will add another die. But I have a pretty good roll right now to beat 16, so I'm going to give it a try. All right, so we got a 10, 13, 14, 18. So we did find this cache of mithril ingots. And because of that, I think we need to consider mithril is pretty light, but these ingots are there's a lot of them, I'm assuming, if they had to drop them to run away. And so what I'm thinking about right now is, do we want to shift the burden here? And let's look at what the consequences of shifting the burden will be just on our disposition traits. Okay, so the player hero and the band both suffer fatigue points during journeys. Fatigue's managed as normal. It accumulates over time. That's for me. But for the allies, whenever a fatigue point is gained as a result of a journey event, I have to make a fatigue test to see how deeply the effects of it weigh. So whenever I gain a fatigue point, which I did gain one, even though we had a good success on that roll. Excuse me. The TN of this roll is modified by the number of fatigue points gained during the journey. So target number plus fatigue, so it'd be +1. And then the band's current burden can aid or hamper their efforts on this roll as shown. So if I had had the heavy modifier, I would lose 1 die. Now, I didn't have that yet, so it's medium burden, so we don't gain or lose a die, but we did gain 1. And so rally is 2. And our readiness is going to be 16 plus 1 for because that's how many fatigue points we gain. And then I'm going to actually spend hope here, 1 hope, to add an additional die because I don't want my characters to get any like you know what? Actually though, since I only have a few rooms to go back to, maybe I'll hold off on that. I mean, I'm of 2 minds because it's like, why not spend it? I'll recover it. But then it's also like, why not see if I can get something interesting to happen? Okay, so I don't think. So we'll figure out what happens dependent on the outcome of this. But what I'm just thinking about right now is I probably have to, yes, I have to, for my player character, I have to add a 1 fatigue, which like that would make my endurance 29 minus 1. Now the issue with this is like when my load meets or exceeds my endurance, I'm going to start having other kinds of problems. But for now, down to 28, it's like whatever. So, let's see here. All right. Should I add a hope point? 4, 5, or 6 is yes. Yes. Okay. So we'll add a hope point and we'll add a hope die to the roll. Why not? Let's keep our folks in tip-top shape here. So for rally, we have 2 plus a hope die, and we'll find out the effects of this when we're done. All right, 4, 8, 11, 14. So we did fail that rally roll. If on a failure, a member of the band suffers a fatigue condition. Follow the guidelines below to determine the severity. If the ally is not fatigued, mark that box on the mission worksheet. If the ally is already suffering the effects of fatigue, worsen the rank 1 step. If the fatigue test fails with an eye icon, you must do, that it's going to have even more serious issues. So the way ideally that you're supposed to manage this is like, this actually is keyed to the D12, but it would just be the same over and over and over again. So actually we could do that. We'll just consider it to be like their names over and over and over again, and we'll see who it affects. All right, so 6 would be Iri, Moonin, Bari, Sindri, Iri, Moonin. Okay, so Moonin is going to gain the just 1 advancement of fatigue. And as far as what that means, generally, this is not going to do anything at fatigue. There's no instant effect for that, but we are now working on the ladder towards spent or collapsed. If my ally is collapsed, they're incapacitated. Okay. Also, if any allies are spent or collapsed, that goes into the calculation of whether or not, my party has become weary. Now, how that actually affects us at this point, it doesn't. If the fatigue advances and the player characters collapsed, they would be not able to contribute to anything, and we would suffer a penalty on those rolls accordingly. But also, if the fatigue advances to either spent or collapsed, that is going to be part of a broader calculation of different things that determine the condition of the party. Let me show you this table here. Sorry, it's not a table, it's a list. This is to determine if we've become weary. We check how many are out of action, how many have serious injury conditions, how many have serious fatigue conditions. And if at least half the allies on this mission are any of these, then our band takes on the weary condition. And the weary condition doesn't sound bad, but it's pretty bad. And that is that any success die rolls that are outlines and not solid don't count for anything. They're 0. So we definitely want to avoid that. But for now, it's just sort of like, we've lost. You can think of it as like a point of health almost, but there's also like an injury bar right here. So nothing immediate. Might narratively come into it. And so I think what we want to do again is the travel roll here. And so it's going to be a favored roll. And we're going to have 3 dice. And this one, remember, this is just to see if we're going to get a +1 or -1 on our travel roll, because we're testing our maneuver. And so 9 or 8. Yep, so 9 plus 3, 12, plus 4, 16. We got it, 20. All right, so we will get +1 die on our Regan's travel roll. Again, favored. Traveling is going to be pretty uneventful. We're trying to hit that 17, and we do get a +1. So we're rolling 2 feat die, and they're favored, and 4 success die. Okay, so 5, a 3, a 2. Ooh, this is going to be close. 7 plus 3, 10, 7. Oh, we just made it. 17. All right, so if we were weary, think about that. It would have been 10. So that means we are able to, once again, the success of the travel roll affects our event roll, because we're traveling back, and so I don't think it's like, I know that the event happens after this roll, but I think that the event can be thought of as happening at any time in that period between like where you're coming from and where you're going. So again, we're looking at page 37 here. We're going to roll a success die to see what sort of skill is being tested in this journey event, and it's a 5. So that is Delvers or Craft. And then we'll roll a feat die to see the solo journey events. And once again, I rolled 10. I'll take it. I want to play as is. So I'm going to gain a fatigue point, and then again, we'll roll on the right way table, which will be favorable. But hey, maybe we'll have a noteworthy encounter. Let me 5. A well-trodden path, awareness or vigilance to keep on the trail. So I'll just say that I'm the leader this time. So we'll do an awareness roll, which is not favored. And this might be a little bit more difficult here. So I'm trying to think if anything would be added to this. Awareness, prowess, nope. Not really. Yeah, so we'll just see. We're on a well-trodden path, so maybe everyone's just following me. They're just kind of trusting that I know where I'm going. 6, 3, 9. We do not hit the target number of 13. And so uh, if the roll fails, well, either way, we gain another fatigue point of 1. And we need to roll against the target number for our readiness, which is going to be 17. And we're going to do a rally roll. So we'll do 2 dice against 17. 10, 5. This is one time when I'm like making amazing rolls and it's leading like nothing is happening. So I just gain no change in my group's fatigue. I will gain a fatigue point for Regan. And then we failed the roll. So we failed the journey events roll. So pretty much if the roll fails, nothing happens. These damn dice. If the roll fails, nothing happens. It's only something good if the roll succeeds when you have the right way. So, all right, let's just keep it going because maybe we could check out like what a fellowship phase is like. And I do apologize. One of the harder things about playing this is just the amount of space because I have to refer to all my sheets, and I tried doing that like outside of this binder, but it got so messy. And then occasionally you have to look up something in the core book. Which I hope one of you maybe will be inspired by this and like create the list of the tables and everything that need to be referenced. So maybe those could be like more easily aggregated. All right, so let's take a look at the fellowship phase. I'm going to zoom out here for a second. So we're back in the camp, all right, and people are happy because we brought this cache of mithril back. And so it says, within Moria, darkness is always at your doorstep, and we have to determine how long we're going to wait here. And the consequence is that the longer I wait, the more like recovery and benefits I get, but also the hunt threshold is going to reset, meaning that the chance that an event is going to happen is going to increase. Okay. So let's look at like what we need, what we need. I have 2 fatigue points on my player character, which isn't that bad. And then Sindri has 1 fatigue checkbox. And so if I just do a hurried one, then I can recover all my player hero endurance. I clear any fleeting or moderate injuries, and there's no time for undertakings. If I do brief, I remove shadow points, I recover hope, I recover all player hero endurance, I clear fatigued and faltering, fleeting and moderate, any wasted gifts, any wounds, and perform 1 undertaking. Just because it doesn't make a lot of sense for me for us to come back and then be like, hurry up, we got to go. We'll do a brief recovery. And in terms of the undertakings, we'll check that out. But what I want to do is assign a hardened status to one of my allies. And I think we should give that to Sindri, who not only, suffered some fatigue here, but was the one who was quickly able to spot and was confident. And so they have this harden that's going to add +1 to my readiness score. So that's pretty cool. Honestly, normally I would toss this out and start a new one. But since I forgot to even mark the fatigue on here, I think I'll just be able to erase and just put a new mission objective here and reset the different stats and everything. They start at 2s all the way across. Okay, so Sindri will recover from fatigue. I will recover all hope points back up to 15. We don't have any shadow points as far as I know. But you can start to see, and I'm not making a case for this, but you can start to see how it's a lot to think about. It's a lot, and like I think for me to do this, I just have to let go of the idea that I'm gonna like perfectly get every one of these all the time. And I know there are some of you who like you're like, well, what's so hard about this? You just do this, this, this. I'm just not that type of person. I'm not a quantitative person like that. It's very hard for me to like manage multiple sums and values at the same time. It might be kind of hard to imagine that if you're not a person who's like that. But it just is how I am. And I could try my best to uh, do it differently. But if I was playing this not on camera, I'd be very slowly playing it, very slowly checking everything. And I actually do enjoy that. And I know that there's some of you who say, well, just play like that. But the video, I don't know, it would be like a 4-hour video. And also it would just be me going, okay. All right. So let's check out like the undertakings that we can do. Ah, that's right. Before any undertakings, we have to roll a feat die. And it's possible to do and this is when we do a brief or extended. So we do a brief. If it's extended, this roll has to be ill-favored. And if we roll an I, a fellowship interruption occurs, and then we would roll on these like different interruptions. So a 3. All right, so no interruptions. And as far as the undertakings, now it does say that we really only want to award hardened status at the conclusion of challenging missions or for worthy deeds. I agree. Just that we didn't get to award one before the first mission, and I think that's a nice way to be a kind solo player to yourself. We didn't get any gifts, although it is possible that whoever is crafting this thing made out of mithril might be able to provide for us like a mithril weapon, armor, shield. Not right away, because they'd have to fashion it, and maybe they'd have to have some left over. But in terms of the magical item tracking that happens with Moria, each of the supplements or whatever campaigns and stuff have like different magical items. So I filled this one in for Moria, and they're very non-specific for Moria. They're just like mithril helm, mithril shield, mithril weapon. That you could then use tables to make them more specific. But we'll have to see in the narrative if there's like an opportunity for that comes up. We wouldn't want to necessarily be that generous to ourselves. So, once per year, if you were previously returned from a successful mission to secure a strategic location, you can establish a new safe haven. We are not there yet, but the points between the existing safe haven and the new safe haven are considered a wild land rather than a dark land. So it's a higher threshold. We could recruit some new allies, and we could do spiritual recovery. We don't have any shadow point issues. Let's take a look at all the undertakings that are available to us. All right, so this is from the core book here. So in normal fellowship phases, it would be like each player, each group would choose an undertaking, except for every fourth one is a Yule. That's sort of like winter phase in Pendragon. And in that, each player gets to take their own undertaking. And then there's certain callings that can do specific undertakings. I don't think there's Yule in Moria, simply because it specifically lists that Balin decided that they were going to skip Yule in order to just like keep up the pressure. And so we can gather rumors. We can meet with our patron. Those two seem good. Healing scars happens only during Yule. Ponder stories and figured maps. Raise an heir. Recount a story. Strengthen fellowship. That could be good. Study magical items. Write a song. Okay. So I think we should meet our patron. After a few years of adventuring, the company will probably count several of the wise and the great among their allies. Some of these can be chosen as patrons. We have a patron. When this is the case, the lore master can work with the player hero to set up the encounter. The reason to see a patron varies based on the current circumstances of the campaign, but generally revolve around the player hero asking for some sort of assistance, possibly accepting a task requested by the patron in return. A company, including a messenger, can choose this activity as a free undertaking. That doesn't apply. So 212 says is instructions that can help us. I'm already having like a little curdling of an idea here. So we have Balin. Born in the year 2763, the Third Age, Balin is the eldest son of Fundin, one of the Durin's folks. He and his young... By the way, I read these books well before I think anybody who was not born in like 2003 did. But so anything that I mispronounced in the books, including the Silmarillion, I just kept replicating that mispronunciation through time. So Balin, Fundin, I don't know. A venerable dwarf, Balin has seen much, including the death of too many allies and friends. He fought the orcs when his father died defending Moria, was there when Thrain disappeared in Mirkwood, and was with Thorin Oakenshield on the quest that ended with the liberation of Erebor and the death of the dragon. For decades, Balin was Thorin's counselor and now serves Dane Ironfoot, the king under the mountain. One of Dane's most trusted officers, he's an adventurer at heart and rarely remains at court for long periods of time. Despite his status amongst his kin, he is surprisingly humble and polite, while still doughty. Balin's age is beginning to show. He sometimes mutters to himself and dodders as if every day of his years press upon him. So he's an adventurer, envoy, he's eager, honorable. Encountering Balin as a patron. We already know about the... Balin's eager to know anything that could be learned regarding dwarf holds fallen to the enemy and actively encourages allies to scout those places or rid them. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. Oh, that's right. We could spend fellowship rolls to make combat favored. So here's what we're going to do first. We're going to look in the lore table, and we're going to figure out, we're going to go meet Balin. And maybe we're new to the team. And we say, hey, we're here to like do the map. And they're like, well, why don't you go get this mithril? And they're like, that's not exactly what they do. And they say, well, if you want to talk to Balin, you got to show that you're useful. So go find this mithril. So that's what we did. And this is a reason I like having both colored dice. And believe me, it's financially, it's not the best idea. But I can roll two of these at once. So we encounter Balin. All of us come before him. And he tells us about 5, 6. Okay, so 5 and 2. Hide. 6, 2. Mighty. 9 and 6. Wealth. 8 and 5. Stone. Hide, mighty, wealth, stone. Okay. So, hide mighty wealthstone. Hidden mighty wealth stone. Okay. Balin says, you did a really good job of finding that mithril. And I say, well, that's all because of my watchful friend Sindri here. And Sindri says, yep, absolutely. That was me. Thank you. I like to watch. Oh, it's a little weird. And he says, well, I can't thank you. I'm glad you're here to help. This is where all dwarves should be. And since you're so good at finding that, I have a favor to ask of you. There is a stone that is located was located in or around blank. We'll roll on table later. And this stone looks like a normal stone, but inside is a great deal of wealth. It's a gem. And so getting it is going to incur a burden, right? It's going to be difficult to bring it back. Maybe we'll have to roll it or something. But if you can bring it back, then, I am at your beck and call as far as whatever you need for your quest to map out Moria. And so we kind of conference with each other, and maybe we can look on my table that I made here to see where exactly this is near. Roll a d20. All right, let's see. It's on its end here. Let me flatten this out. 18. Oh, that's hidden behind a PDF. 18. So 18 is going to be, well, actually, on my table, I should have it listed here. The high cistern. Okay, so the high cistern is all the way up here. So that's quite a quest. And so maybe, this is kind of funny actually, maybe with the high cistern, we're going to get it, and then we're going to roll it all the way back down. So that will actually go quite fast. We'll have to keep up with it. And then we'll make our way back. So this is quite a journey. And we come back and we say, look, we're willing to help you with this, but it's going to have a price. And the price is that, number one, we need like anything that cartographers would want. We need charcoal pencils, we need paper, we need all of that stuff. He says, done. And we also need from that mithril, we would like you to fashion us something to make us safe or to make us dangerous. And he thinks about it. He says, okay, I'll do that. And then this last thing, I don't know how to phrase this, but we need, this one is not a requirement, but it can help us if you can give us something that can assist us to find this place, because or to like maintain our bearings, maybe. You know, obviously we're map makers. It doesn't make much sense for us to say. What I'm thinking in my head right now is like a magic compass, but I don't really know what that might look like. So he says, well, I don't know if this will help, but let's see what he says. All right, 2 and 3. Chase. Okay. 3 and 1. Destroyed. 10 and 5. Scar. 6 and 5. Pillar. Chase, destroy, scarred, pillar. I'm going to sit and thinks for a minute here. Chase, destroy, scarred, pillar. Right? 10 and 5 is scar. 6 and 5, pillar. The lodestone of Durin. Hear me out. Sorry, this is a scarred pillar. All right, so he says, well, you know that those compasses, those kind of things, they don't work down here. But there is something that might help you. Now, it wouldn't be on this quest, but let's say somewhere in what was called the Vault of Uruk Tharbun, which is under the King's Hall, was a pillar. And this pillar was made out of something, how cool is this? I really love this. Called deep iron. And deep iron was the substance. Now I'm wondering if this was actually in something. Am I like absent-mindedly? I don't think. Let me Google this to see if I'm plagiarizing off something that actually exists. No, I think I'm good. So this is it has weird properties. And if you had a certain kind of lodestone, it would direct you in that. It was like sort of like a North Star. And there are none of these left. It was made in the First Age, but um, someone said that they saw what they thought was that pillar shattered. And so if you're, these disgusting orcs probably have no idea even what that was. But if you were to find a piece of that, it would always direct toward where that pillar was. Like it would be attracted to itself. So I'm sorry I can't give that to you. All I can do is give that information. And so that would sort of be like a rumor that I could record in my journal. And then he does agree to the something to protect or something to make us dangerous. He gives us these mapping supplies. And what we would do now is create a mission to see how many marching tests it would take to get from where we are to the high cistern. And this might be a little bit challenging, so let's use some measure tools. All right, so this is going to be a bit of a challenge. So the high cistern, where the hell is that? So it's going to be up this large cliff here. And of course, the only thing I have to measure is this weird 3-hole punch ruler. All right, so that's 5 miles going down. And then we go through the Duero Delph. That's going to be 10, regardless of what path we choose. There's several levels there. Okay. And then from that point, we need to go down 2.5 miles. 5 miles, and then from there, 5 miles. So 5, 5, 2.5, 2.5, 5. 5, 10, 15, 20. All right, so the easiest way to break this down is to first of all admit that it's probably not exactly 20 miles, but using the scale on here. This is the only reason that I've divided it by 5 miles is because roughly 1 inch is 5 miles. Just how it works out. And so for like the actual distance that we will travel per roll is dependent upon our travel roll. All right. And so the method here that we'll use, and let me zoom in, I've kind of condense this down. We'll do the maneuver roll based on the results of that plus or minus 1 dice for travel roll. Then we'll roll up the skill type that we'll need to test or check for the event. Then we'll do we'll figure out like what the event is, and then we'll go to that event type table, figure out what it happened, do a skill test for that, record the outcome. While that's happening, we need to make sure that we're tracking our fatigue, making sure that our burden is being properly represented, and testing to see or checking to see if our player character's load exceeds their endurance to see if there's any like weariness there, and also to compare the eye level to the hunt threshold, because if the eye level meets the hunt threshold, we need to roll a revelation event, which means something big is brewing. Okay. So the first thing will be this maneuver roll, and I know that that is a 2 modifier right off the bat, but I also wanted to update the fact that our band and everything is a little bit different. Actually, not. This is not also. We need to do this to figure out what our maneuver rolls are, because everything starts back at 2 as the base. We have recovered our 15 hope points from resting. And I'll just very lightly draw in 2 here just as our baseline now. Our rating actually goes up to 5 because Sindri is now a hardened character. And what size is our band going to be? Well, we've got quite a journey to go on here. And if we have 5 characters through 8, we are rated at medium. So it's almost like kind of would make no sense to do 5 and not 6. So I say let's bring everybody here. So in addition to those we have now, we'll also add, and probably next time I'm going to try to recruit some additional allies, because I'm imagining if I even make it back from here, we're going to need some people to sub in. So we'll have Moin and Yuri. Oh, I have an Irie and Yuri. Maybe they're brothers. And then also, just to make it a little easier on myself, I am going to put their gifts right next to their names right here so that I can work mostly from this sheet. I would say the most challenging thing so far has been managing like my space. Now, I would hope that if you are playing soloing by yourself, you know, spread out on a big table here. I just have the added responsibility to like get everything or as much as possible within the camera frame here. So Moonin is quick moving and graceful. And again, the reason why I'm putting these gifts down is because in different situations, I'm going to see if any of these could be useful to add an additional die to our roll. All right. Barry is battle tested, so that's going to be interesting. Erie is Smith. And then Sindri, who is battle hardened. And it doesn't look like there's anywhere to represent that individually here. I guess I'll just kind of put a box around the name, is watchful. None of them have any conditions right now. Okay. That'll do for now. I'm just going to make sure I keep these together here. Maybe put a little paper clip on them. All right, so now let's take a look here in the book at the mission worksheet, or how to prepare for the mission. All right, so our readiness bonus, how many hardened allies do we have? We have 1, so we'll get a +1. I already accounted for that. We do a medium band, which has no modifiers. And then I wouldn't say we're geared for war. I would say we're prepared. So medium burden for that. And yep, we already have that filled in. So we'll just change the band size to 5 to 8. And really, these are sort of like neutral choices here. And the specialization, +1 vigilance, rally, or expertise. Well, I'm not certain if we're able to change this each time. I think we would, because the composition of the group is going to be different. And so I will actually say that we are stalwart this time. No. Yes, stalwarts, which gives us +1 rally. And I hear... Oh, it's the shower head. I don't know if anyone else has a shower that goes, yeah, when it's going off. All right, so we'll put the rally up to 3. And base eye awareness. You are a dwarf. Yes, +1. You carry a famous weapon. You have a valor of 4 or more. Nope. Eye awareness modifier. A medium band, that means the eye awareness is going to go up another +2. So that puts us at +3. So this is putting us closer to the threshold here. Over time, we might figure out that there are areas that we go through often that we kind of clear out. It is a Darkland, so the hunt thresholds stay at 14. Now, this is when I was looking at and I was thinking about the previous mission. This is a hunt threshold. Your previous mission was an astounding success. Yeah, but I mean, Your previous mission was a qualified success. Yeah, I think that's probably it. So +0. And then the fellowship phase duration, it was brief, so 0. So a very neutral mission we have here. A little bit higher eye awareness, a little bit better readiness or a lower readiness score. We're not weary. We're not miserable yet. And we have full hope. And let's not forget our objectives here. We need to go to, what are we doing? Oh, right. We have to go to the top of the high cistern to find the wealthy stone that's hidden in plain sight and bring it back down. This is going to be actually really tough. We'll see how far we get. All right. So we know where we're generally going. We're probably going to have, everything else looks like it's going to be a 2. And I think that's it as far as setting out on our mission. Yeah, so hopefully we get a couple more interesting things here. All right, so we know that the maneuver is going to be 2. We're trying to hit the, and actually it's favored, so we will get the better of 2. And we are going to try to get that bonus for our travel. All right, wow. Oh. I'll re-roll it. It was a 2, 7, kind of. Oh, a 7. Okay. 7, 8, 10, 12. So we definitely failed that. So we're going to get -1 on travel. All right. And right now, I think we'll wait till something matriculates before we start generating any of the fiction. So now our travel roll is usually very good. I am going to spend hope because I think we're at a bit of a disadvantage as it is. So I'll spend a point of hope. I don't think... I don't think I'm inspired. See, this is one of the things that happens when you have a game that has like a higher cognitive load, is like you just suddenly forget different parts of it. I know there is something here in which that makes me inspired, and when I'm inspired, I spend 1 hope and get 2 dice, but that's only when I'm inspired. What causes me to be inspired? It's not a favored skill. Does it have something to do with my calling or my cultural blessing? Yeah, so I'm actually glad I looked into that because the disposition focus is a little bit different. Because we're Pathfinders, this is inspired. So it's actually not a favorable roll. I mean, it doesn't matter. We failed here. But when one is inspired, spending hope gives us 2 dice when we're using that disposition. Normally, spending 1 hope gives us 1 dice, but it doesn't matter now because we're going to travel. But that's for the group. Right. Okay, so mostly inspiration comes from distinctive features. So I must admit, I find this system a little bit confusing how this works. So there are distinctive features and there are virtues and there are callings and there's a shadow path and there are blessings. And basically, these distinctive features are just sort of flavor text. For instance, like fierce is you stay calm except when you're provoked, then you show your savage side, but it like doesn't necessarily say +1 or anything. Willful, I know a lot about orcs, but it says that players are encouraged to like invoke these to be inspired in certain circumstances. I wish I had ones besides fierce and willful because those are so broad that I feel like I need some direction on when to invoke them. I should mention right now that after this, I am going to do a members video on my overall impressions of this game. I need to keep telling myself that because I don't want to go too far off here. Okay, so that's fine. Whatever. We don't need to worry about that right now because we're going to do the travel roll. We know that that'll give us 3 minus 1 because we lost failed the maneuver. And then we spent a hope to be inspired, and it's a favored roll, so we will roll 2d12 with that. Okay, so this is my first Gandalf rune, which it means it's an instant success, regardless of what else happens here. And we would normally count up how many elven runes to see the degree of success, but there aren't any. So we can take this, not even add anything up, just consider it an automatic success, okay? So that would, if we recall, this would give us, I believe, 6 miles of travel plus 2 more. I'm not quite sure why it's broken down like that, and then an event. I'm just going to check to make sure that's right. Yep. So with a success, you travel 6 miles plus, I see, plus 2 additional miles for each success icon. We didn't get any, so we just travel 6 miles. Whereas on a failure, you advance only 2 miles. That's actually really good to know, because I think in the regular rules, it's sort of, I don't know. I remember reading something that made me feel like on our last travel roll, it would have been the same distance regardless of whether we succeeded or failed, because it just had to do with like the event that came at the end, but maybe I just made that up. Anyway, so we will travel 6 miles. And so be like 1, 2, here we are marching. Is that a marching song? Here we are marching. So that would be 6 miles. And now we are going to resolve the journey event. And so the first thing we need to do, of course, is figure out what is going to be tested. And we roll a success dice for that. Let me just bring it up. All right, so 1 to 2 will be exploration, 3 to 4 awareness, 5 to 6 craft. All right, so it'll be awareness. And I suppose we can either, I suppose it could be just like a skill. Journey events in Moria are determined as usual, rolling a success die on the event to below select target player hero. Okay. Yeah, so this is for the this table is for the general one. I'm going to make sure there's, I'm really sorry. I know we probably went over this already. It's just it's hard. My head gets leaky sometimes, like as soon as I'll figure something out and I'll go on to something else and I'll just forget how I did something. I don't know what it is. Well, actually I do. It's probably ADHD, but we don't need to think about that. Okay, so we can maybe like roll on the event right from the start, and then choose the skill from there. That might work better. So let's just try that. I'm gonna roll a d12. 2. Okay, this is the Long Dark of Moria, and we're gonna gain 2 fatigue points, and we have to test an event here, and if we fail, we gain 2 shadow points from dread. Now, this event is where we can start to maybe build out something dangerous, some combat, some stones falling, who knows. We would go off the Long Dark of Moria right here. Five, Fallen Kin. All right, so as we, and I actually should see, like, what would the, where would we be right here? We'd be like So this is 1 mile. I'm trying to see, what is a die? Die is like 3 miles. All right, so we'd be 3. Okay. So maybe like right there. And we come across a fallen dwarf, one of our kin, who was questing and failed. And let's see, how did this poor soul meet their end? Let's use the lore tables to figure that out. Okay. So okay, I and 5 defeat, and then 2 and 4 concealed. 10 and 3 wound. 6 and 1 monument. I keep getting like monument. Wound monument. Okay, defeat concealed wound monument. Okay, so perhaps wounded, defeated. You know, maybe. That's pretty terrible. Maybe like the dwarves that, or if it was just them, I doubt it was just them, but if it was part of a group and this one was killed by whatever is down here, whether that's the orcs or other things of the nameless things, maybe they built like an effigy of them. So it's like this wound, defeat, concealed wound monument. So they're wounded, defeated, and then they are sort of like concealed in sort of like a standing monument, like almost like a coffin. I'm thinking of that scene in Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood where he's walking through the town and it just has like people up in the coffins with like signs on them for what they did. So obviously we want to try to put this friend to rest. And to do that, we have a choice of either, I think, a craft roll or expertise. And if the roll fails, we get 2 shadow points. So let's see here. Our expertise is 2. So that's standard. And then craft is 2 and favored. So Regan takes the lead and says, I'll take him down. Maybe I give some instructions to them. Find me something I could use as a ladder. So I do feel, I honestly, I don't want to be over dramatic here, but I really, really want to make sure that we do this because I think you should always be respectful of those who pass and allow them to their rest. So I will spend a hope point to get an additional die here, and we will roll it favored. And I'm just going to look through really quick to see if any charmer, beast whisperer, watchful, quick moving. Nah. Nope. Smith, but no. All right. So we'll just try our best here, and hopefully we can. Because I'm testing it for me, I need to beat the target number of 13. All right. So pretty bad roll here. 8, 12. Darn. All right. So I try to take the body down very gently, and much to my surprise, even moving it a little bit, it was held together by some kind of dread magic, and it just like crumbles. You know, it was not even. I mean, it was real, but it was almost set up like that to just demoralize whoever even tried to do it. And in the distance, maybe we hear like a deep bellowing laugh, like mocking us. And so that is definitely going to not be great for group morale. And so that is going to lift our shadow points by 2. That's too bad. I'm not sure if it naturally... Okay, so we are going to get some fatigue as well. So we get 2 fatigue. And... Oh, right. I'm not tracking... I'm tracking fatigue for mine. So my fatigue will go to 2. And then for these folks, it will be every time we add a +1, we have to do like a fatigue roll, an endurance roll, so to speak. And if we fail that, we advance upward in fatigue. So, all right, whenever the band gains fatigue points, make a rally roll. The target number of this roll is modified by the number of fatigue points gained during the journey event. All right, so we gained 2. So our target number is 15 plus 2. We got to hit 17. Our burden modifier is medium. That doesn't do anything. Okay. And then we'll have to come back to this to see, like, if we fail, what... we'll have to check the fatigue box if we fail. So rally, thankfully, is a 3. And it's not inspired. And we'll just make the roll straight up and down here. All right, 5, 9, 13, 15. So we just barely... No, wait, we didn't, because it's 17, right? Damn. Right, because, yeah, it's 15 plus 2. Yeah. So I wonder... what I'm forgetting is, like, who is inflicted by it. I know that Sindri was inflicted last time. On a failure, remember the... Oh, right. We just have to sort of roll on it. So it'll just be these twice. We'll see who it is. 2. Moonin. All right, so Moonin gets some... is fatigued here. Which, again, no effect right away, but it can build up over time. All right. So let's see here. Now, I'm just going to color this in really quick here to see. So we are past this and down here. And down probably about halfway down that hallway. So in the next one, we're going to proceed to this room right here. And this room, we'll spend some time to describe it and see what happens. Let's see if we get any better here. But we did travel 6 miles. We can take a short rest at midday and a prolonged rest later. And we could even take a longer one if we're in a safe place. So again, we're going to do the maneuver roll, which is not favored. It's inspired. And I am not motivated to spend hope on that right now. I don't think we're in too dire of straits. So, all right, 4, 6, 10. So we're going to fail that. So that means we get a -1 on travel. Now travel is inspired. And so we'll get 2d12 minus, with 3 travel, -1. So 5, 10, 14. So we fail that travel roll. Unless, what is my target? I think my target number for travel is 17, yeah. Okay. So that's fine. We failed it. That means we only go 2 miles and then roll up an event. And so maybe we probably with 2 miles get to right to the entrance of this room. And I will roll the event generation as usual here, but also maybe after that we'll do chamber. We'll generate a chamber. But let's just see the event first to see how that might fit in, because we don't want it to be like something where we make a room and then it's like, you are underwater. So we're going to skip the skill test, determine that later, because there is actually skills listed on all of these. And so just roll d12. A 1. That's a terrible roll. That's the long dark of Moria. So we're going to get some more Je suis fatigué. And that means that our fatigue is going to go up by 2. And then we're going to roll a success die on the long dark of Moria table. 6. Drums in the deep. Okay. So drums in the deep likely, it says, explore or maneuver to navigate away from the burgeoning threat. Now, I think for drums in the deep, there is a section of the book that talks about that. And it is sort of the abstraction of like the orcs pursuing or getting closer, or whatever dangers are getting closer. So I'm just going to read that section over really quick, make sure I understand it fully, and then we can build a chamber and talk about what happens. All right, so depending on the outcome of our roll here, we might increase eye awareness, because in Moria, it's usually silent. So any sound you make, like a lesser noise, loud noise, powerful noise, it can raise the eye awareness as well as the encounters. But let's just see how we do first, and then maybe we can do random chamber generation. I don't want to lose my page here. There we go. So drums in the deep, explore or maneuver to navigate away from the burgeoning threat. So maybe we see that there is a threat in this upcoming room, and we need to get away from it, or we need to avoid it. Maybe we need to get through the room by crawling or whatever that might be. So explore. Why am I not seeing explore? Okay, explore is favored with 2 pips. Maneuver is inspired. So if I spend hope, which I think I forgot to do this last time. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do this. So I'm going to spend 1 point of hope, and I am going to use maneuver, and I am going to have Moonin get out ahead. Now, here's the thing. Moonin's going to give us a gift of an additional die. Let's hope that that does not come up as an eye, because then that will waste that gift and we can't use it again. Or I think that's if we just fail this roll. But also make sure it doesn't get caught, because he wears a necklace of goblin ears, and I don't think that will be the best PR for us. So we have a 1d12, and then we have 2 success die for maneuver, and then we spent a hope point, so we get 2 additional, and then also we get 1 for Moonin, who is going to take the lead to try and scout ahead, figure out the best path, and we need to get through this place. But before I do that, before I do that, let's see what is going on here, because we need to get like a little bit of flavor going. And we can alter this to fit with the event. But what we're going to do is we're going to generate a chamber, and I'm just following so the first thing is chamber type. All right, 4 stairs. So there's some sort of like large stairway that's going to go up. So maybe we need to do this to get up to the higher level. Stairway. As Khazad-dûm extended over many levels, the dwarves built great stone concourses, and in later years, mechanical elevators powered by water wheels or by hauling on ropes. The larger stairs in the city were also public auditoria where the affairs of the day were discussed. So this makes sense. There's this big like theater of stairs, and we need to get up it. And now the condition of it, let's check that out. 10. It's mostly intact. The appearance of it, 2. Austere, not much there. Probably everything's been. And then the challenge of it, 9. Stealth. So that works perfectly. So instead of stealth, we will use maneuver, which is pretty much the group way of doing that. And we need to get equal to or over the target number of 15. And I'll tell you what I was about to say after I roll these dice. I was just about to say something, but I'll do it after. I was just about to say, I doubt that we can fail this roll, but I can't think of a worse roll than what I just rolled here. 1, 3, 8, 10, 13. Come on. Okay, 3. I couldn't see it from where I was. So this is a 16. So with all that, we succeed by 1, which is great. We still gain. We don't gain shadow, but we do gain some fatigue. And I should have tested fatigue twice last time. Let's see who we're going to test it on. All right. Moen, and 9 would be Erie, Moonin, Barry. So Barry and Moen are going to do rally rolls here. All right, Barry, how'd you do? 9, 10, 15. Yeah. Wow. So really good. No fatigue for Barry, able to bear the burden. And then Moen, how'd you do, buddy? All right, we got a Gandalf rune, so we're good on both of those. Not sure if I was supposed to roll both of those or what, if it's just supposed to be for everybody, but whatever. Okay, so let's see a little bit like we are able to sneak on by, and but that doesn't mean we can't get like a little bit of information about what was happening here. So if the roll fails, gain 2 shadow points. The roll. You know what? I'm so like mixed up right now. I'm like, did that maneuver roll fail? No, because we juiced it up, right? Yeah, we juiced it up with a bunch of dice, and we just got it over, but we still got fatigue. So we did succeed. And here is some sort of little bug. I must be in Moria. Reveal the nature of the event using an event detail table. Once you have imagined the event and the action taken in response, make the indicated skill roll. So we did that. So maneuvering. Finally, resolve the scene using the consequence and fatigue points gained or lost as shown in each event detail table. Your player hero gains that amount of fatigue, and your band must make a fatigue test modified by those fatigue points. Right, that's right. It's modified by fatigue. I'll do that right next time. Okay. So I guess my player hero just kind of gains that fatigue. So that goes up to 4. And so we were able to stealthily crawl across this auditorium and make it to the next. Friends, I think I'm going to have to uh, press hold there. I would have liked to have get some combat, but it's 1:49 in the morning and my brain is a bit fried. Let me know if I don't even know if people are going to stick with it this far. If you enjoyed it or if I did a decent job with this, but let me know in the comments. Maybe I can continue it. I feel like I'm starting to get the flow of it a little bit, but it is I do see like the loop. I see it, but I think at this point I'm just like forgetting like stuff's leaking out of my ears. So thanks for coming along with us, and yeah, look forward to reading your comments below. Take care, everyone.